The day before my hip replacement surgery, the anesthesiologist called me on the phone and he was really pissed off to the point where I thought he was going to cancel my surgery. Hi, I'm Pamela. I did have my surgery that next day. It was almost 3 years ago that I had that surgery. I created this channel because when I was starting my journey to a hip replacement, I did what you're probably doing right now. I went online looking for information about what is it like to have a hip replacement. But all that I found were informational videos from the doctor's point of view, wearing their white coats and their stethoscopes. There was hardly anything from the patient's point of view. And so I created these videos so people like you can learn about what it's like to experience that from before the surgery all the way through recovery of the surgery. Now, if you have not yet subscribed to my channel, go ahead and do that right now. Also, like this video, click the subscribe button, and then ring that little bell icon. That way you'll be notified when I publish my next video. And at the end of this video, I'll tell you what the next video is going to be. Now, just so you know, I'm not a medical professional. I am not giving you medical advice. I'm simply giving you information about what happened to me, so that way perhaps you can ask your medical professional maybe a little bit better or at least different questions to hopefully avoid what I went through, this chaos, the day before my surgery. My surgery was scheduled for a Tuesday. The Monday before my surgery, that was kind of my day where I wanted to be sure I followed all the instructions that the doctor's office gave me about how to prepare your body before the surgery. So I was taking care of all of those things. And then it was probably around 3 o'clock the afternoon, the phone rings. And it said on my cell phone, it said it was like medical office or something along those lines. So I answered the phone. And it turned out it was the anesthesiologist who was calling me. Now, throughout my entire journey of getting ready for my hip replacement, I had never talked to an anesthesiologist. Now, there was a very long survey that I had to fill out that was supposedly sent to the anesthesiologist. It had all kinds of questions in there about had I had any other surgeries, did I have different medical conditions that I suppose were important from an anesthesiologist's perspective. But none of the doctors I talked to ever said anything about the anesthesiologist. I had no expectation that the guy was going to call me. The reason why he called me was because he was looking at my lab report and he didn't like what he saw. Now, what's the lab report? Earlier in my journey with the doctor who actually did my surgery, he said to me, okay, now I need you, well, he didn't say it, but his office staff said, you need to go get a physical and you need to ask your primary care doctor to do blood work with these types of things on the labs. I was like, okay. So I went to, in the area where we live, we've got these big major chains of medical care. So I just kind of went to the one that was closest to me, to be honest, and scheduled an appointment. I said, I need to have a pre-op appointment. This is what they need. The person I scheduled the appointment with, or the staff member, was like, great, we know exactly what to do. Here's your appointment. So I show up, I talk to the general practitioner, blah, 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 blah. He orders lab work, and away I go. When I got my lab reports back, it was fine. Nothing alarming. Nobody called me about it. The orthopedics office somehow got it to the anesthesiologist, who, the day before my surgery, was not happy. What he wasn't happy about was my iron level was slightly below average. Now, when I got the results back for my lab work, I wasn't surprised by that at all, because historically my iron level has always been either just a smidge under ideal or just ideal. That may not be the right word. You know how when you, in the United States, when you get your lab reports back, you get a fancy document that says that, this is the bar of acceptability for this particular nutrient. Mine's always just a smidge below the bottom level of acceptable, or just a smidge above the bottom level of acceptable. It's been that way ever since I was a child. So I wasn't particularly concerned about it. My GP, who I know that they looked at the results because they forwarded them to me, they weren't concerned about it at all either. But the anesthesiologist was freaking out about my iron level being so low. And he kept asking me, why did your GP approve you for surgery? And I finally said to the guy, because I was frustrated, he was frustrated, said, I don't know. Why don't you call him? You told me to go to the GP. I went to the GP. I got my blood work done. The GP said I was cleared for surgery. If you don't like the GP's vision or viewpoint that I'm cleared for surgery, don't question me about it. Call the GP. Now, what the anesthesiologist did finally do was say, well, on different scales, you would be within the acceptable range. So, I think that you're going to be fine. Now, for me, this was literally the afternoon before my surgery. There was nothing I could have done about it at that point. I was really upset that the anesthesiologist was just now calling me about it. I get it. I know that he probably has a number of surgeries that he has to do, and this afternoon, when he's finished with the morning surgeries, he's getting himself prepared for tomorrow's surgeries. I get it. However, for him to call me and yell at me, that makes no sense. So fast forward to the next day, he was there. I had my surgery. I've done a number of videos on this channel about my experience with the surgery itself. So if that's something that you're interested in, be sure that you like this video, subscribe to my channel, and ring that little bell icon. And you can look and see any of the other videos that I've created in the past. And by ringing that little bell icon, you'll be notified about new videos that I create in the future. Now, if you've already had your hip replacement surgery, or really any other type of surgery, did anything like this happen to you? Write in the comments below this video and let me know, am I the only person that had an anesthesiologist call up and yell at them the day before surgery? Or is this something that's just kind of like, par for the course? I've never had any other type of surgery like this, so this was my first experience. Now, I did promise you that I would tell you what my next video is going to be, and that is going to be what it's like to take a shower the first couple of days right after your surgery. I found a couple of different items that were really helpful for me when I was taking the shower. A couple of months ago, I did another video about how to use the toilet in the first couple of days after my surgery. So if that's something that you find interesting for you, you can take a look at that video as well. Other than that, I hope all is well with you. Be sure that you leave your thoughts or your questions in the comments below this video, and I'll see you next time.